Are you a self-taught pianist? Yes? Then you may be making some of these mistakes. So I'm going to go through the main things that I see when I teach students who have taught themselves a little bit first, and I'm going to show you how to rectify them. So if you want to know if you're making any of these mistakes, just keep watching. So the main one, and the first one, we'll start with the one I see most regularly, is using the same fingers for every single chord. And that's generally either using your 1, 2, 3 or your 1, 2, 4 and using the exact same fingers every single time. Ideally, we need to be alternating your fingers. I have made a whole video dedicated to this. So if this is something you realise you do quite a lot, you would do well to go and click the video that I've left in the description and the pinned comment so you can rectify this mistake. So here is how you might be currently playing. So instead, we need to be using all of your fingers, particularly if you're going from inversion chords to inversion chords, and using alternating fingers. Equally, playing singular melodies, singular notes. I have a whole video on which fingers you should use generally. We don't want to see your palm in piano, and generally we go over the thumb or under a finger with the thumb. So again, if you're making either of these mistakes, choosing strange fingers, and then go watch those two videos and that will sort that right out for you. And you'll start playing music in a much more methodical and fluent way. It will enable you to play quicker, more lightly as well, so you're not getting your fingers in a twist. So the next thing, this only applies to those who have a pedal, but it's just keeping the sustain pedal down the whole way through a piece of music. So all the music sounds completely blurred and it sounds muddy and there's not enough clarity. So I have a whole video on how to properly use the sustain pedal if you want a constant sustain or the illusion of a constant sustain, but also so the music that you're playing is clear as well. So instead of putting the pedal down all the time, think about where you could not use the pedal for a nice contrast, particularly if you're playing loud and lower notes as well. You want to be refreshing the pedal more often. It can start to sound really muddy really quickly if you're playing loudly when you have a lot of low notes in there as well. So the third thing I tend to see is that self-taught pianists generally are inspired by one type of music. So they might hear something, whether it's on a game like Final Fantasy or something, or it's a particular artist, or it's a very specific genre, and they just want to learn that, and that is it. Although that's really good and that's inspired your passion to want to learn the piano or any other instrument, it's really good to try and explore other genres. So if you don't usually listen to like jazz or blues music, for example, you do really well. There's lots of benefits to learning blues and jazz music, particularly with rhythm, interesting chords, playing things in swing, and it's really good for your coordination, just as an example. And those who feel like they don't like blues or jazz music tend to find that it's actually really fun to play. So for example, if you're really into learning like anime music or music from Studio Ghibli or like Final Fantasy, you know, like the really lovely Japanese compositions, you may do well learning some blues music, maybe some pop music as well for chord progressions, and of course some classical music as well, just as an example. But try to broaden your horizons to make you a bit more of a rounded pianist, as opposed to you just play one thing and you're very much put into a box. Being able to play in lots of styles and different genres really accentuates your playing and understanding of lots of different genres of music. So the fourth thing is not learning theory, taking the time to understand theory. There is a lot to know. There are loads of really good books out there, like method books that can take you through it, and you go through little exercises and do like drawing and answer questions as well. I have a video, again, on essential music theory all musicians should know, not just pianists, musicians. I've linked that for you down below as well with the rest of them. So knowing even just a little bit about music theory and a little bit about scales and how things fit together and chords, and it makes you almost learn things quicker and appreciate what you're learning instead of everything seeming a little bit like abstract and like random. The majority of the time music can be put into a great deal of context, and if you understand exactly what you're playing or have some understanding of it, it really does heighten your experience and your knowledge and how quickly you learn a piece of music and pick up all the pieces of music as well. The fifth and final thing is playing everything as fast as you can. So not everyone does this, but you tend to find when a self-taught pianist has learned one song, spent a lot of time learning one song, and you've memorized it, it can be quite exciting to play it as fast as you can depending on what it is. Fast doesn't always mean better. It doesn't mean more impressive, it doesn't mean more musical, it just means you're playing something fast. If it's meant to be played fast, then great. But if you find that you're making lots of little splashes and like little errors along the way, it would be good taking it down a notch or two so you can focus on playing things more accurately. You can consider how things are articulated, so where you join notes together and play smooth, or where you disjoin notes and play them staccato. Think about phrasing as well and dynamics, so where the loud moments are, where the soft moments are. So this is easier to do and do everything all at once when you're not just playing everything as fast as you can. So I have a video again on expression and my big tips on how to make something sound nice and expressive. In my opinion, it's better to play something slower but correctly and like you're in full control over it, so the rhythm is right, the pulse is consistent, you've thought about expression, you thought about dynamics and articulation, and it's much more of a wholesome performance rather than just playing it as fast as you can to try and impress someone. My tip would be, if you've learned a piece of music that's fairly popular and there's probably a ton of other people on YouTube playing it, it would be good to listen to how other people have perceived that piece of music. And everyone may perceive one piece of music, they may want to play it in slightly different ways, and if you're unsure, you could listen to a few different renditions or performances of the piece of music you have learnt or are learning and pick what aspect you like from that particular performance. You know, you might like the way someone slightly slows down at the end of a section, or speeds up towards the end, or gets louder towards the end, or plays a certain passage smoothly or detached, and really listen, and ideally if you can watch their hands, that's even better. So those were my 5 self-taught mistakes I see a lot. Let me know in the comments if you're guilty of doing any of these, and again, the solution to almost all of those points have a video or two that I've made in the past that you would benefit a lot from. So I hope you're all well, happy playing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. So that's the end of this video. If you would like to leave a request, leave them in the comments section below of this video. I've also left some videos here that I think you might like, so go and check those out as well. I also have a course. Visit bitesizepianocourse.co.uk and you can enroll and start learning how to read music. I'll see you in the next video.